Hello everybody, this is another Hot Wheels Collector video. Today we are looking at the 85 Honda City Turbo 2. Now this casting first debuted in 2018, however this specific recolour features in the 2022 FKS. I will also mention which miniseries this car features in, and it does feature in the Hot Wheels Turbo miniseries and is car number 2 out of 10 in that set. I will also mention where I actually found this car then. So I found this car in a pretty local Poundstrecher or bargain buy store. Essentially the same store under a different name. It was at the price of £2.50, which is very expensive. However, I was willing to pay it because this car is so cool. It's just a funky little thing, and also I didn't have this car or this casting in my collection, so I just decided I'm going to bite the bullet and pick this thing up because it's super cool looking. And yeah, I don't think there'll be many better colours of it, although I think one of the debut colours of this casting was really nice as well. It was done in white, I think. That looked fantastic, but I don't think we'll be seeing that in stores anytime soon. Definitely not. But anyways, let me give you some facts about the real life car. So this car is really quirky in real life, and it has a 1.2 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine. Obviously the City Turbo came with the turbocharged engine, and I believe there might have been a regular City which didn't have a turbocharged engine, and they had two totally different looks. The turbocharged one just looked a lot more sporty. The car also had 99 horsepower and 147 Nm of torque converted to 108 pound-feet of torque. This car also had a 0 to 60 in 8.6 seconds, so it's kind of like a little go-kart. I'm sure this thing feels really fast when you're driving it, just because of how small it is and how low to the ground it is as well, by the looks of it anyway from pictures. This car also had a top speed of 111 miles per hour, so not too bad for this little teeny thing, which converts to 179 kilometers per hour. This car was also front wheel drive, and when it was new it had a cost of about 760,000 yen, which converts to about $5,100 or £4,200. The average value of this car now is about $23,000, and that is the equivalent to about £19,000. Anyways, that is it for the facts about this car. Now let's move on to the showcase of the actual Hot Wheels model. Alright, so kicking off this showcase then, we'll first of all take a look at the side of this car, and I will first of all mention the wheel choice on this thing. So this car is rolling on these small aerodisc wheels which have been painted in white. This is an unpopular opinion, however I really do like these wheels on a select few cars, and I think these wheels work fantastically on this car. I really don't think there would have been a better wheel choice for this thing. It just looks so good in my opinion with these wheels. As for the actual colour of the rest of the car then, it's all painted in a glossy blue colour that is not metallic. Now onto the tamper work then, there's quite a lot of it on the side of this thing. So first of all we do have the Honda logo, as well as the Honda writing done in white tampo. We also have some nice striping here. I'm not sure if this has any significance. I don't think it does, because there were actually a few other colour variants which released in 2022 as well. I believe one of them was green and it had different coloured stripes I think as well. So I think they are just some stripes which the Hot Wheels team thought looked good with the blue, and they do, to be honest. We also do have the Hot Wheels logo which has been done in orange, as well as the Ryu Asada logo done in orange as well. Obviously Ryu Asada did design this car, and you can just about see that in the background card art as well. His logo is also featured on there, and it does read Ryu's Rides. And the final bit of tampo we do see is we see the turbo writing, which has been done in black tampo, and finally we do have the racing number 2, which obviously represents the Honda City Turbo 2. So yeah, that's why it's got a little 2 there. I love it when Hot Wheels add those little tiny secrets, I suppose, and nice little Easter eggs about the cars. And there you go, that number 2 has been done in white tampo with a circle surrounding it which has been done in black tampo. That's it for the tampo work on the side of this thing. Now onto the actual metal casting itself. So first of all, I'm going to mention that the exhaust on this car actually features as a side exit exhaust and has been created through the black base plastic. It only features on one side of this car, and it features on the right hand side, which is where we are looking right now. You can also see there is a nice little vent featuring on the rear fender section of this car as well. It's in the metal casting, however it does not receive any tampo work. I will also mention that the door handle and door lock also feature in the actual metal casting, but once again do not receive any tampo work. I will mention that this casting does not feature any wing mirrors. That is unfortunate. It is a small detail missing, however I just think that when Hot Wheels cars don't have it, they just look wrong, and it's really sad to not have them on this car. I think those wing mirrors would have just looked so good on this car and would have completely finished the look. So that is going to affect my score. And finally, I will mention that the side windows on this car are wound down. Anyways, that's it for this side of the car. Now let's move on to the front of this thing. Alright, so taking a look at the front of this car then, there is unfortunately no tamper work on the front section. That is unfortunate, however it is something you come to expect with mainlines. If you want the full detail, then you have to buy the premium cars, and speaking of premium, this casting actually has been in the premium set under the Japan Historics stuff. There's 5 cars in that set, and this was one of them. I believe it was painted in orange colour. I personally prefer this blue colour on this car. Alright, so taking a look at the front of this thing then. So first of all, we do have the headlights featuring in the metal casting. They don't receive any tampo. You could easily add your own details though, using Sharpie or acrylic paint. You can also see the main grille of this car also features in the metal casting, as well as what I believe to be the Honda badge featuring in the metal casting as well. Below that, on the actual front bumper of this car, we do have quite a lot of vents, and we also do have the indicators. So the indicators do feature in the metal casting, but once again don't receive any tampo. Then below the indicators, we do have some nice vents there. They're quite big vents, but again don't receive any tampo. And finally, we have one large vent, which actually is a hole in the metal casting, or a shut-off if you want to talk fancy terms, which does lead to the black base plastic. And just to the right of that big vent, we do have a smaller vent, which does not lead anywhere, and does not receive any tampo either, but does feature in the metal casting. Anyways, that's really it for the front of this thing. Now let's move on to the next side of the car. Alright, so taking a look at the next side of this car then, it's pretty much the exact same as the previous, so I'm not going to bore you here. The only thing that is unique about this side is the fuel filler cap does feature on this side in the metal casting, and there is no side exit exhaust on this side of the car. Anyways, that's it for this side. Now let's move on to the rear of the car. Alright, so taking a look at the rear of this car then, there's a decent amount of detail in the metal casting, but there is unfortunately no tamper work here as well. Very similar story to the front. So we do have the rear lights featuring the metal casting. You could easily add your own details to them using Sharpie or acrylic paint. We also do have the Honda logo featuring the metal casting. Again, you could add your own details there. And we also do have the license plate holder as well as the license plate lights featuring the metal casting as well. You could easily add your own license plate to this car using some sort of permanent sticker. I will also mention that the diffuser section of the rear bumper of this car is created through the black base plastic. You can also see those really aggressive wide arches on the rear of the car. There are also some lovely wide arches on the front of the car as well, which you will have seen just before. Looks really cool and actually makes the car look even more cute in my opinion. It's just such a small little, all I can describe it as is like a go-kart. But anyways, that's really it for the rear of this thing. Now let's move on to the top of the car. Alright, so taking a look at the top of this car then, there's quite a decent amount of detail here, so let's get straight into it. First of all, we have this really large ducktail looking spoiler, which is a roof spoiler. Really cool to see that featuring in the metal casting there. It is painted in the exact same colour as the rest of the body of this car. We also do see a little bit of aerodynamicness in the roof of this car, engraved into the roof, giving it a nice little bump in the roof. At least I think it's for aerodynamics, that's the only thing I can see it being for. You can also see this car does feature a sunroof, and that sunroof is created through the window plastic, which is made to represent the glass of the real life car. Whilst we're here, I will mention that the interior plastic is grey. I will also mention here that there are no windshield wipers unfortunately featuring on this car. It's a small detail that is missing, however it will affect my end score. It's just nice when the Hot Wheels cars do feature them, and without them, again, the car just doesn't feel quite complete. Now onto the hood of this car, there's quite a decent amount of detail here as well. So first of all, we do have 2 hood pins featuring in the metal casting. We also do have a little bit of tamper work here. It's that continuation of those stripes being white, orange, black and yellow. We also do have the turbo writing, once again done in black, returning from the side. And we also have that same number 2 returning from the side as well. This hood also does have 2 hood vents, which interestingly point off to the side. You can see that on the actual card art there, the design of them. It's interesting because usually hood vents point like towards the front of the car, but this time they point towards the side. Very interesting there. Cool design indeed. And the final thing we do see here is a few more vents quite close to the windshield. It's quite hard to see in the metal casting, but again you can see it on the card art there. Cool to see that detail there. Anyways, that is it for the top of this car. And that is also it for the showcase of this thing. So now let's move on to my final thoughts and review on this car. Alright, so now it's time for my final thoughts and review on this car. I absolutely love the casting here. I say this about pretty much every single Hot Wheels car that I review, but it's just true that all the modern Hot Wheels castings seem to be really good. There is that Lotus Sport Elise, which I am going to get around to eventually reviewing. It's awful, the casting in my opinion, but this one's just great. Very accurate with obviously the Hot Wheels twist to it, making it very unique from other diecast brands. I also do like the side tampo on this car, making it look very race car-y, which I think the body kit also adds to that effect. Really cool body kit on this thing. And yeah, I also do like the wheel choice on this thing. I do like the Aerodisc wheels, especially when they're painted in white. I also do like them on the Audi Quattro, which was a new casting for 2023 as well. I think they suit that car good as well, but I know a lot of people actually don't like them on that. I also do quite like the colour choice, although I think like a white would look good on this car. It already has released it in white, and it does look good in white, but I think like greys and other colours like that would also look good. But I do like this colour. I think it does suit the car quite nicely. And yeah, it's just a really cool little thing, which I would highly recommend you pick up for your collection. The only things I don't really like is the fact that it doesn't have wing mirrors. It just makes the car look a little bit incomplete, and also the fact it doesn't have windshield wipers. I would definitely say that the wing mirrors not being there is a bigger deal than the windshield wipers, but still, both of them things not being there are unfortunately going to have to affect my score to make my ratings fair against other cars. So that does lead me on to my score out of 10. So what I'm going to give this car out of 10, it's going to be receiving a pretty solid 8 out of 10. So the main reason why it's not anywhere near a 10 out of 10 here is because of the wing mirrors and the windshield wipers not being there, but also the fact that it doesn't have front or rear tampo. I definitely think the hood tampo could have been sacrificed for the front or rear tampo, but yeah, it didn't get sacrificed, and this is what we got. So anyways, that really does wrap up this video. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and you can also press that notification bell so you do not miss any new uploads. Remember, you can also share this video with any friends, family, or any groups who may be interested. But remember, don't feel pressured if you don't feel like you have anybody who may be interested. You watching this video all the way to the end means so much to me, and I really do thank you for making it all the way up until this point. But anyways, that is it for this video, so I hope you guys did enjoy, and I really do hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye everyone.